You can't remember exactly when you accepted this. There is actually no moment. It happens the way water erodes stone, slowly, invisibly, until the stone is a different thing entirely. It has no memory of what it used to be. You were 7 years old the first time you cry at a portrait, not because someone told you to, because everyone around you is crying, and the emotion is so total that your body simply joins it. The portrait is of the great leader. His eyes look down at you from the classroom wall, and the teacher is weeping, and the girl beside you is weeping, and so you weep too. Afterward, you feel proud. You did it right. You belonged. That is your first rank, child of the state. Your school uniform is clean because your mother washes it every night before sunrise. She does this without being asked, because a wrinkled uniform is a statement, and statements are dangerous. You learn this not through instruction, but through watching what the adults around you never say. Your classroom has 41 students. 2 portraits watch from opposite walls. Between them, you are always visible, always centered, always seen. The lessons are not meant to be difficult. They are meant to be absorbed. The name of the leader, the crimes of the Americans, the sacrifice of your grandparents, the future being built for you right now by the love of the party. You are good at absorbing. Your teacher notices. She writes something in a small notebook. 3 weeks later, your father comes home looking different, straighter, like something was added to his spine. He tells your mother quietly that your name was mentioned favorably. She covers her mouth with both hands. That night, dinner is slightly better than usual. No one explains why. You are 8 years old, and you have already learned that your performance belongs to your family, that loyalty is a currency, that the right kind of visibility is the only safety there is. By 12, you are a member of the Korean Children's Union. The red neckerchief takes 2 weeks to tie correctly. At rallies, you stand in formation with 300 other children, moving in patterns that from above must look enormous and perfect. From inside, you can only see the back of the head in front of you. You chant. You raise your arm at the precise angle. You hold it until your shoulder burns. Then you hold it longer. Because the burn is the point. Because the burn is how you prove your body belongs to something larger than its own comfort. You are not unhappy. This matters. You are not performing happiness over misery. You simply have no access to a version of yourself that exists outside the system. No contrast, no grief, no loss. The water doesn't know it's wet. At 14, something shifts. A boy in your neighborhood, older, 17, disappears on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, his family's door is closed in a way that is different from normal closed. You walk past it on the way to school, and your body understands before your mind does. You don't look at the door. You look straight ahead. That evening, your father says nothing about the boy. You say nothing either. In the silence between you, an entire education takes place. Some absences must be treated as if they were always absences. The shape a person leaves behind is more dangerous than the person ever was. You decide, at 14, to be excellent, not good. Excellent, because good is invisible, and invisible is unsafe in a different way. You study with a focus your teachers describe as remarkable. You attend every rally, not just with your body, but with your face, your eyes, the precise emotional register each occasion requires. Grief at the memorials, fury at the propaganda films, devotion at the portraits. You become fluent in performing the correct feeling at the correct moment. It is the most important skill you will ever develop. At 17, you are selected. It happens through a teacher you are careful around. She tells you your record has been reviewed. Your family background, 3 generations, checked, no stains. There is a path available if you want it. You say yes before she finishes the sentence. You enter the university in Pyongyang. This separates you from roughly 93% of the country. Though no one states this as a statistic, you simply notice that everything here is slightly more real. Buildings are maintained. Lights work at night. There is meat in the cafeteria on most days. You eat it without expression. Gratitude, too openly displayed, is its own kind of statement. Within 72 hours of arriving, you have assessed your 3 roommates with a thoroughness that would alarm you if you thought about it directly. You are all doing the same thing, reading each other for risk, for reliability, for the kind of loyalty that holds under pressure versus the kind that fractures. By the end of the first week, you have decided which of them to be careful around, which to remain neutral toward, and not one of them will you trust with anything that matters. This is not paranoia. This is survival arithmetic. You study political theory, military history, Juche ideology in its full doctrinal complexity, not as beliefs to be evaluated, as a language to be mastered. The distinction is everything. A man who believes can be shaken. A man who has mastered the language of belief is unshakable, because there is nothing underneath to shake. Your professor circles certain sentences in your essays. You feel the same pride you felt at 7, crying at the portrait. Except now you understand the mechanism, and still you feel it. That understanding the mechanism doesn't free you from it. At 22, you graduate and are assigned to the ministry. Entry rank, a desk in a room with 11 other desks. Above every desk, the portrait. You wear the lapel pin with the leader's image, as does everyone, as has everyone since you can remember. The pin is so far from optional that the concept of not wearing it has no cognitive reality. It is like trying to imagine not having a face. Your work is procedural, forms, approvals, records. You learn quickly that the actual function of your work matters less than the documentation of it. What matters is the paper trail, proving you existed in the right places, doing the right things. You CC the right people. You attend the right meetings. You say very little, and what you say is a refinement of what someone above you already said. 6 months in, your supervisor closes the door behind you. He says your work has been noted. Your dedication is apparent. There may be an additional assignment, something more sensitive, if you are willing. You say you are willing. With the correct blend of honor and humility, he writes something down. The conversation ends. The additional assignment is a second set of reports. Weekly, observations about your colleagues, attendance, demeanor, unusual comments, behavioral deviations. You tell yourself this is structural, that everyone is observed by everyone, that this is simply the formal version of what happens informally everywhere. You write the first report. 11 minutes. One colleague arrived late twice. Another seemed distracted during the political study session. You submit it through the separate channel. You go home. You eat. You sleep without difficulty. You are 23 years old, and you have just become something you will not name. The years move. You move with them. At 27, you were promoted. A larger desk, a row closer to the window, access to a different cafeteria, but more importantly, access to material you cannot discuss outside the building. Economic data, population figures, statistics about regions that exist officially, but are discussed internally in a register very different from the official one. You absorb this without reaction, but something accumulates. Not doubt exactly. More like static. Background noise you learn to think underneath rather than through. At 31, you marry. The approval process for your intended is thorough enough that by the time you are permitted to marry her, you know her family's history across 3 generations, and she knows yours. You have both been investigated and passed, and this shared knowledge creates between you a particular kind of intimacy. On your wedding night, she says something quietly that you will never repeat. You hold her and say nothing. That silence is the most honest communication you have ever had with another human being. Your daughter is born at 33. You look at her face and feel something so unguarded it frightens you. You recognize it immediately as danger. Not the child, the feeling. The feeling is a vulnerability the system can use, has always been able to use, and now it has a face and a name. And she is asleep in your arms, and you love her with the specific terror of a man who has finally found something real to lose. From that day, you become twice as careful. 3 times as excellent. You write sharper reports. You attend more sessions. You climb, not because you want power. Power here is not a destination. It doesn't liberate. It only increases the altitude at which you are expected to perform. You climb because at higher altitude, there is more insulation, more distance between your daughter and the machinery you have spent your life inside. At 41, you are senior. You sit in rooms where decisions are formalized, where things already decided at depths you cannot access are given the shape of consensus. You understand now that you were never a decision maker, and never will be. Your role is to transmit reality downward, to be a relay station for the world as it is defined from above. There is one meeting you will spend the rest of your life not thinking about. A figure, a region, a timeline. You sit with your correct expression and your correct posture, watching 11 other men with their correct expressions and correct postures. And you understand with a clarity that is almost beautiful that none of you are truly present. The men in this room are uniforms that happen to have bodies inside them. The bodies are incidental. The uniforms are what matter. You are one of them. You have been one of them since you were 7 years old, crying at a portrait you didn't choose. You go home that evening. Your daughter is 19, studying, doing well. She has your same quality of careful excellence, and this fills you with a pride you cannot separate from grief. Your wife is reading. The apartment is warm. On the wall, in the frame you chose and hung yourself, the portrait watches. You sit down. You are handed a cup of tea. Outside, the city moves in its precise, unwavering rhythm. Lights on the approved streets, silence on the others. The machinery of a world built around you so completely and so long ago that dismantling it would mean dismantling yourself. You drink the tea. You say nothing. You are, by every measure the system has, a success. And somewhere in the architecture of everything you were ever taught to feel, in the space between the performance and the performer, something sits quietly. It has no name. It makes no sound. And you realize, holding the warm cup in both hands, that it has been there since the very beginning. Tomorrow you will go back. You always go back. There was never anywhere else.